Engrossment Rules, Resolution, and Credentials Committee meeting is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Arnowitz,
Present.
Alderwoman Green,
Present.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Here.
Chair Lady Tyus.
Present.
Four present, you have quorum.
Okay, so this is new grounds for us. Mostly this has not been done this way. The chair of rules has just been signing the bills, and that's really not what our rules have said. I'm pretty much a rules person, you all know that. I think that makes it fair for everybody, and it also, the rules committee, we will learn and know the rules better than anybody by the time our 2 years are up here, okay? And we will be able to, when people are not following the rules, not just me, but other people should be able to get up and do points of order and say this is what should be done. What we're having today is a engrossment of the board bills. I kind of wrote out what we're supposed to do so that you can kind of go over what we're supposed to be doing. I don't know if you got one here. And basically, as the engrossment committee, we're supposed to go over the board bills to make sure everything is ready for a third reading, okay? And that means if there was a committee substitute or a floor substitute, we need to have that. We're also supposed to be checking for titles that match the body. There are no titles on our board bills, so that's something we're going to have to start doing. We're supposed to have a title, so we will be working toward that. This is a work in progress. It won't all get done at one time, so some of the things we will continue to do as we work toward doing it the right way, okay? And the other thing we looked at, we're going to make sure, one of the things that we also want to make sure is that there are no, and we can't read everything, but if you see any typos that stand out or something like that, then we want to report that. So before we come to these meetings, since we'll know what many of the bills are, it might be best for, if we don't want to take a long time, that we kind of look at them and take them with us and look at them before we have these meetings. We will be meeting Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Alderman Oldenburg, that's what we, at our last meeting, that's what people decided that was the best way we could do it. We had talked about meeting on Fridays, but after further study, it looks like we'll be able to do engrossments, and then then we'll do enrollments on the same Tuesday, so we won't have to have two meetings. Right now, we don't have anything to enroll. Engrossment is to get ready for third reading. Enrollment is what we do before we do final passage and then send it over to the mayor, okay? And what we do with enrollment is that we will get, I think it's printed on green parchment paper, we will get the green parchment paper bill and compare it with the bill that has been perfected and make sure that there are no differences, that somebody hasn't changed out the bill. Many years ago, I think we sent the wrong bill over to be signed. So we are the eyes and ears, okay? We're the people that are going to make sure that there are not mistakes done to things, that they're done as correct as possible. So that's what the difference between enrollment and engrossment. And if anybody has any questions about that, I think we should talk about that right now. Okay? How we're going to do this is we're going to bring bills up one at a time. We're going to review it, kind of talk about if anybody has anything to say. Other than that, if there's no objections to the bills, and the first bill we had is Board Bill number 9, which is Mr. Arnowitz's bill. We won't have anybody before us presenting the bills, but we'll just bring them up one at a time, and we can speak to them. First of all, it doesn't have a title, but we know that this time, but we're going to be looking for titles in the future. And if there's if you have perused it, I've already read it. I didn't find any mistakes. If there's anybody that has any mistakes, then you will be recognized, and we will then make those appropriate changes. If not, if nobody has any suggestions of thick change, then we will be taking a vote. And it is that we vote to pass it out with the recommendation that it be engrossed.
Alderwoman, a process question. For the future, especially because there potentially could be some weeks where we have, 20,
Right.
25 bills. Would it be possible maybe for the clerk to send out in advance of this committee hearing all of those bills that have hyperlinks to the actual text?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that allows us to review these things in advance
That's a good question. So she wants the clerk to send out a hyperlink to the committee members of the bills that are coming before us, okay? So that we won't have to have paper.
Or it gives us the ability to review in advance, so we're not sitting here just reading things. They are online, but I think what would be easier, or maybe, getting our secretaries to do this, would be to send us an email a couple days before we're hearing these in this committee that has a list of all of the bills that we're actually going to enroll or engross, so that we can look at them. We know what we need to look at in advance.
But when the calendar comes out, the bills that, like this one, it showed the bills that you're going to engross.
I was gonna say, right.
We can, if you want to, just send.
I think that would
of
be.
those particular bills to the committee members.
Yes, I think that would be easier, so then we don't have to do all that.
In the future, the president should on Fridays refer those bills, okay? So we should know them Friday, and then they could be linked to us as of that Friday.
Okay.
Okay, and then we will have Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
To
Tuesday,
review.
right?
Okay.
If I may, we should send the bill to you electronically.
Yes,
That's what we can do.
that would be wonderful. Trying to move us away from paper.
Okay, and this is the time to bring up process if people have problems, because we are treading on new waters. So this is how we work things out. Is there any other suggestions? Does anybody have a problem with it being a link?
But I do like paper.
So
I like paper trails.
okay, so what we'll do is we'll put yours in paper in your box. Is that what you?
No, I can get up.
I know, I'm just giving you. Okay, any other suggestions? Okay, if there are no other suggestions, we'll start with Board Bill number 9. Has everyone had a time to look at Board Bill number 9? Any problems or questions that we want to bring up?
It's just missing a title.
Okay.
Which we'll get to that next time.
Or the next time afterwards. Remember,
Right.
this is a process in which we're trying to change something that's been done one way for a long time. So we won't get it all right at the same time, but we will continue to work on it until we get it right. If there are no questions or problems, I would entertain a motion to pass Board Bill number 9 out with a due pass recommendation to be engrossed.
I make a motion we pass Board Bill number 9 out of committee.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll.
Alderman Vollmer, Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Arnowitz,
Aye.
Alderwoman Green,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Chair Lady Tyus.
Aye.
That's 4 aye votes.
And I want to go back, I didn't excuse all the people, so Carol Howard asked to be excused. And Fulmer said he just couldn't make it. This is, so I'm gonna say again, and I'll tell him, if I don't hear from people, then, not the clerk, I will not excuse you. I'm gonna excuse Fulmer this time, but I need to hear from you guys, okay? Okay, the next board bill is 17. This is about the Central West End Southeast Special Business District, and he is amending an ordinance, okay? Normally, if it was in regular committee, whenever an ordinance is amended, then we are supposed to have the ordinance attached. But since this has already been passed and second read, then we don't have to have it. And it wasn't a floor substitute or a committee substitute or anything, so it's already been taken care of. And unless there is some problems with spelling or.
I think for future, we just need to figure out standardization of titles. So the one that we just passed has NO.9 for number 9, and then a colon, and then the alderman's name. And
Wait a minute.
like if you're comparing Arnowitz's bill to Roddy's bill and the headings of them.
Right.
Hashtag as
They're-
opposed to
Right.
NO dot.
Yeah.
Right.
They're different in the way that they are set up.
So that's the kind of thing that we can and do, okay? We also, if they give a title part of we can also change the title if it does not reflect the board. That is actually a part of the rules or the chart. I can't remember which one, but we're actually authorized to change a title if it does not reflect what it's really. So if somebody's trying to fool somebody and it's a stop sign and they say it's a street closing, we could change it to say that it's a stop sign, okay? So if that's the kind of thing that we want, then we should tell the clerk that we want board bill number 9 versus board bill hashtag number 20 in the future. So if you have some,
I don't have a preference for either, it's just method of
I understand.
standardization.
I see, so Arnowitz is different, and then both the roadies have number 20. So
Yeah.
that's something, after today, then we'll make a decision about how we would like to say it. And can you keep a little, a list that we're gonna make a decision about how we want board bills, if we want the hashtag or the number, you know? Okay, anything else, Alderman? Anybody else have any suggestions?
I like the numbers.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that.
Reminds me of being at the racetrack.
Okay, we're gonna leave that one alone since we are being
Number on
taped
the horses.
and your constituents are watching you. Okay, so if there are no other questions, then I would entertain a motion that board bill number 17 be passed out of committee with a recommendation to engross board bill number 17. I keep getting engrossed and enrolled mixed
I
up.
know.
I move we pass Board Bill 17 out of committee to engross.
Second.
Been
Previous roll.
moved and seconded, and is there any objection to previous roll? Seeing none, board bill 17 is passed out. Okay. Board bill number 20, also a board bill by Alderman Joe Roddy, and he is enacting the, extending the period of time when the Central West End Southeast Special Business District shall be permitted to collect a tax within the boundaries of the district, and increasing the amount of such tax to an amount not to exceed 85 cents per $100. So I can see why they need titles now. Okay, and actually would be a ballot that goes to the voters. Are there any suggestions of corrections on board bill number 20? Anybody have any suggestions? Still reading? Okay. It'll take a few minutes.
Glad you're not voting my ward.
Okay, are we ready to move to pass board bill 20 out with the recommendation that it be engrossed? Are you still reading, Alderman?
No.
Alderman? Alderman? Okay,
I make a motion, we pass board bill number 20 out of committee to be engrossed.
Second.
Previous roll.
And a motion and second previous roll. Any objection? Seeing none, Board Bill 20 is passed out as engrossed. Okay. Is there any, we have no resolutions, is there any other discussion we want to talk about, how we want to see the title, where the title, does anybody have any idea? Do we even have any board bills that have a title? I guess we'd have to look back into maybe some old,
There have been some over time.
maybe some old books, or maybe we could ask the assessor's office, not the assessor, the registrar's office. But I will search, because some of the older, we have books that's in those cabinets right out there, sometimes they might have something.
So I was wondering, like, on titles, like, basically, my bills out of health committee is
Right.
basically funding on grants and things
Right.
like that. So we're looking for a title for it, I would, maybe like, funding for grants, you know.
Healthcare grant?
Yes, yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
If it's a stop sign,
Like board bill
right.
number 9, funding for
Correct,
grants.
right. For
And that
healthcare.
makes it pretty simple for
Right.
mine.
But if it's healthcare, I would say we put healthcare in.
Yes,
Right.
yes, yes.
Right. You know, if it's a stop sign for
Right.
4900 block of Maffett Place or something
Yeah.
like that. If it's street closure, something like that, so
Right.
that people don't, you know. you
So
can-
they see what the bill is right away.
Exactly, which is what the title is supposed to be. Does anybody have any problems with a title like that? And my question would be, if it has a title, would it be in the second line before an ordinance repealing? Okay, so here it starts, the first line is board bill, whatever introduced, or do we make it the first line? That's the next question, where does the title go?
I would think, I mean, personally, I just think it makes more sense if the title goes on the first line.
Okay,
And then underneath it, you know, board bill so-and-so. I mean, I would think it would.
gentlemen,
Sorry.
thank you, we won't be much longer.
I would think, I mean, but I can live with either way.
Okay, all right,
I
so.
just think it stands out right away.
Okay, so we were talking about where the title should go. Should it be the first line, so it should be, stop sign for 4900 block of Maffett Place or whatever, and then put board bill number 3 introduced by Alderwoman Sharon Tyus. Is that the way you envision it, or would it be the board bill first and then the title? That's the question. Because a lot of this will be small things, but it will be the way we do it from now
I think the
on.
board bill should be first.
Okay, so
Yeah,
yeah,
I think the board bill should be first too.
okay.
Because theoretically, there could be many with similar
Right.
titles, especially if it's stop signs,
Right.
things like that.
And at least in that particular session, the board bill number would be unique.
Okay, right. You okay with that, Alderman?
I said I can live with it either way.
Okay, so we're gonna put the board bill first, and then the title would be become the second line, and then an ordinance introducing would be down in the third line. Anything else? We're not doing any, enrollments, because we don't have any. And and just a note, so full transparency, we're gonna go ahead and let this one be enrolled the way it was, these 3, because otherwise, people don't know that we're changing it, because we're doing it, and as we work, we're doing changes, and I don't want everybody to be caught off guard. We're actually gonna try to change the way the agenda, we were talking about that before you came, Alderman, Oldenburg. We're actually, I've talked with the clerk, and the way we have the agenda set up, it doesn't follow what the rules say that's supposed to be. So on our agenda that's on our desk, and we haven't fully agreed with the president's office, so we have to meet with them. Number 16 is board bill for perfections on our agenda. You don't have this before you. But then number 17 says third reading consent calendar. Really, it should have the engrossment, report of the engrossment committee there.
Before that.
Right, because you engross before you do third readings, okay? So it will be moved until right under board bills for perfection. Here you can see my scribble.
I get you.
Okay. So,
Oh, okay.
it will be what we're doing now. Then that will be a report saying that we reported it out, right? And then we're gonna try to move down, third reading consent calendar and third reading, then we
The
will.
agenda order needs to change.
Right, we're gonna change it
To
just
make
at the
it-
end, right, and then there was already a report of the enrollment committee, everything would be kind of passed down.
Yep.
And the other problem we have is that, so our charge at the beginning says that we are to carefully compare the engrossed and the enrolled bills. There's no way you can do that if you third read and final pass at the same time, okay? It's physically impossible. So we're gonna meet with the president's office to talk about having a third reading where you just read like you do the second reading and then do a final passage. That way we would be able to compare the green copy with the white copy and make sure that nobody's changed anything. And it would take another week for board bills to get passed, okay? So that hasn't been agreed to. It's just a proposal we're looking at of how we, because what happens in this, in our, we have two separate rules that conflict with one another. One says one thing, and then one says the other, and we don't know how we do that without adding another step, which is to separate third reading and final passage. So
Right, the ability to suspend the rules, right, is existed in our rules, so.
we still can
Still
suspend,
suspend the rules.
but if you suspend, okay, so here's the thing about suspension. If you suspend after perfection and you want to do third read, it still has to go to us.
Right,
So, you could try to, that's interesting, okay?
right? But if you're suspending rules, you're suspending the rules that it has to go to engrossment prior to that,
But you
yes.
can't suspend the charter.
Well, now that's true.
See, that's the problem, okay? See, we've been kind of out
Yeah.
there, right? So the charter speaks to engrossment, okay?
Yeah.
So, but that's the kind of thing that we need to bring up about
Yeah.
what we do, okay?
That's a good point.
What we can do though is have another meeting right away if we have to. If somebody's needing to get something done fast, or if we need to do something, then we add another meeting someplace, okay? We don't have to have it Tuesday. That's something that we will have to be more careful about, setting fires about everything has to be done at the last
Right.
minute, okay? I don't like legislation done that fast anyway. When Tom Villa I came here when he was the president, and he always talked about working committees, that you don't just send things to the committee the first thing and pass them out. And I think we do a disservice to our staff and clerk and everybody else when we're always doing things at the last minute. So I think if we slow things down, we have a better idea of what's going on. A true emergency, then that's something we can look at.
Yeah.
But mostly these are not emergencies. These are people who didn't prepare in time or didn't get it done in time. And so maybe we need to be very careful when we suspend our rules.
Yeah.
But
I just know that there could be a conflict there if we're
Right.
trying to, if we suspend the rules to final pass something, but there needs to be the step of coming to the engrossment committee
Right.
prior to that.
Right.
And
So, I mean, I hadn't thought about that. I'll look at that. So, like I said, we haven't made any final decisions. The president hasn't
Yeah.
agreed to that.
Okay.
It's just really suggestions as I've been putting the charter and
Yep.
sending back. And I sent the clerk a really long letter about, some conflicts. And I'll send it to you guys so
Okay.
you can kind of go through it and look at it. 'Cause I'm not just trying to do this by myself, but I do want to follow the charter and the rules that we have. And if we need to change our rules, then that's what we need to do.
Makes sense.
Anybody have anything else they want to bring up? Oh, yeah, thank you.
You know, you can have it.
I know. We actually have minutes. Thank you. I should have done that. I'm doing this out of order, but okay. I'll get used to it myself. Okay, we have minutes. And this is the minutes from the 15th. And so I'm going to put that on the vice chair. That's going to be your thing that you do. Megan is our vice
Okay.
chair. And so you will be in charge of going over the minutes and then making the motion that we pass the minutes.
Do we have a,
We do. We should have had, everybody should have had preliminary minutes.
yeah.
okay. Two different things here. Got it.
So can I ask a question? Could we have, Mr. Clerk, the preliminary minutes, could that be something, have a little, like a highlight or something so that we'll know the difference between our agenda and the minutes so that people won't think they're the same thing?
Yeah.
Right.
I thought I had two copies of the
I know,
same thing.
I know.
Can I speak to this?
Sure.
The whole idea is to make the board conform to its rules. The problem is that the rules can appear to be conflictual. When it talks about doing engrossment and enrollment, there doesn't appear to be a full space on the agenda to do it. Down the years, they have begun to combine different portions together. And I know it's a possible way to expedite it, but you're also looking at, if you're going to look at these bills closely and make some of the analysis you need, like putting on a title.
Right.
It even becomes difficult to do all of that when the bills are due in on Thursday to be
Right.
introduced on that Friday.
Right,
There really needs to be more space in there as well.
right,
It doesn't give you any full time to analyze, even if you were doing a fiscal note about it, to really look at it in any real way. So it's, when bills get in here, it's like this, to get them to the floor and get this thing moving. So there's no attempt to slow anything down, but to make sure that the steps are taken correctly and that we adhere to the rules, which it appears as if there may need to be some rule changes to make it both consistent and more clear.
Okay.
Even with these minutes, the idea with them is we never had them before for committee meetings, so you really didn't know what happened in another committee. And so even that has to be very quick because of the turnaround and how we have the meeting. So yes, those changes can be made, but just keep in mind that when this week starts on that Monday, it's a flurry of things that have
Right.
to get done.
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. And add in the fact of committee chairs changing meetings or taking this bill out, though there's some provisions in there that say, for example, that agendas are to be posted, and once they are, they're not supposed to be changed. But there's been a habit of making those changes the day before. So there are a lot of areas that there could be some better adherence to. Or if it's not working, then they need to be changed. And it may be that it's just not working in 2019. That's all.
Well, one of the rules, because we have a rule that you have to post outside on the board.
On the board.
And now I think we're posting online.
No, we've begun to repost it on the board, but somebody just comes and takes it off.
Okay. Right, okay. So maybe we need a board with the glass over that we can lock in. If we're gonna have posting outside, maybe we need to spend a few dollars and put the glass thing under. But we're also posting online, aren't we?
We're posting.
And that's not really called for in our rules, but it makes sense in 2019 that we
to
do
it
that.
way.
Right, and so maybe we need to add that and change that. Those are the kind of things, once we get comfortable with what we're doing, we're also gonna be talking about how to change our rules and what needs to be changed. We're gonna start maybe looking at them, a few, start from the beginning and kind of go through them. Because we're charged with, one of the additional things we're charged with is that we are supposed to go through the rules and make decisions about if we wanna change things or what needs to be updated. And once the rules have been passed, it does take 20 votes, but it can be sent out on the committee and it can be done. We just got to be able to explain and tell them why this is in the best interest. And I think we could get 20 votes for, and some of this stuff will just be procedural stuff, but some of it, we need to look at other things. And in case you weren't at a meeting, this is great. I want to thank the clerk. So this is, if you look at the minutes here, on the second page, it's about what we did, so I think that is a great thing. That's a lot of extra work. I appreciate it. So if there's no corrections,
And I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, May 15th.
Second.
it's been a
Previous
moved and
roll.
second. A motion for, and previous roll. Are there any objections? No objections? The minutes are approved. Okay, any announcements? No announcements? Okay, I'm gonna follow this agenda from now on, okay? And I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn at this time.
Second.
Any objections?
No.
Okay, motion, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, we are adjourned.